When someone chooses to ignore you, it reveals far more than just the absence of words. It exposes hidden truths that often stay buried beneath polite conversation. It hurts, of course it does, to feel that sting of being deliberately overlooked, especially when you know they could have chosen honesty or open dialogue instead. But that silence is not empty. It's a message, loud and clear, about how they see you, how they value the bond you share, and how ready they truly are to stand in the discomfort that real connection demands. Many people think silence is harmless, that it's merely the lack of noise. But silence used as avoidance carries an unmistakable weight. It tells you about their character, about their courage, about their willingness to be real when things get difficult. True character never reveals itself when life is easy. It comes to the surface when things get messy, when emotions clash, when someone doesn't get their way. That is when you see the truth. So ask yourself, what does it really say about someone who retreats into silence instead of facing the hard conversations? It says they may not have the courage to handle honesty. It says they would rather hide than step into the discomfort that every genuine relationship eventually demands. Real relationships need bravery. They ask us to stand in front of one another with open hearts, to admit when we're wrong, to say things that might hurt but are necessary, to sit with feelings that aren't easy to process. When someone chooses to shut down instead, they show you a side that's not ready for realness, not ready for depth, not ready to be as honest as you might have hoped. And yes, realizing this truth can break your heart, especially when you held them in high regard or believed they cared as deeply as you did. But buried in that disappointment is a gift you shouldn't overlook: clarity. Clarity, even when painful, is a form of freedom. It lifts the veil. You see them as they are, not as you hoped they'd be. You don't have to hold your breath waiting for them to grow into someone they're not willing to become. Instead, you can stand in reality and choose for yourself whether to keep pouring your time and energy into them or to pull it back and offer it instead to connections that nourish you and reflect your worth. It might feel like betrayal at first, but would you really rather live in an illusion than see the truth? There's another part of this that we often forget. When someone ignores you, it's so easy to internalize it and think, maybe I'm not enough. But what if you stopped measuring your value by their silence? What if, instead of seeing it as rejection, you recognized it as proof of your own inner strength? When someone pulls away, it's a moment that pushes you back toward yourself. It reminds you that your worth was never tied to their attention in the first place. Their silence doesn't reduce your value. It simply reveals where they stand, not where you stand. It's strange but true that being ignored can teach you how resilient you are. It can remind you that you don't have to chase anyone for validation. You don't have to shrink yourself to win someone back. You don't have to beg for words from someone who chooses silence. Let them sit in their silence if that's what they want, and let it become your invitation to stand taller in your own truth. Use that quiet space to hear your own voice more clearly. Use it to remember that you are already whole, that you are enough just as you are. So the next time someone ignores you, remember this: their silence is not just an empty space. It's information. It's a lesson. It's a hidden gift that shows you the truth of who they are and reminds you of the truth of who you've always been. Let it guide you towards stronger choices, better boundaries, and relationships that honor your courage and your heart. Because sometimes silence tells you more than words ever could, and sometimes the freedom you find in that truth is worth every bit of pain it took to see it. Maybe they're simply not ready for honest, open conversation. Maybe they don't yet have the emotional maturity to face uncomfortable truths. Meanwhile, you stand at a powerful crossroads, a moment where you get to choose growth over self-doubt. This is where you discover that quiet well of strength inside you that reminds you, I am complete as I am, with or without anyone's permission to feel whole. And here's the beautiful thing about this shift in perspective. When you stop seeking your worth in someone else's hands, you free yourself. You become more grounded in who you are. You find an inner balance that doesn't sway with other people's moods, silences, or approval. Slowly, almost without noticing, you begin to radiate a quiet confidence that doesn't crave constant feeding. You become more comfortable in your own skin, at ease with your own company, anchored in the truth that you are enough all by yourself. So when someone ignores you, don't shrink back. Don't let that silence make you feel smaller than you are. Instead, see it for what it is, a chance to grow stronger, to remind yourself just how much power you hold within you. This experience, as painful as it may be, is shaping you. It's teaching you that you can stand on your own. The next time you find yourself in a similar situation, you'll remember this lesson. You'll stand a little taller, a little firmer, rooted in your own self-worth and resilience. You'll know in your bones that you are whole no matter who drifts away, who stays silent, or who fails to see your value. This is the kind of strength that can't be undone by someone's indifference. This is the strength that stays with you, quietly humming beneath your skin, reminding you that the world outside doesn't get to define your value. And the best part? This inner power draws the right people to you. People who don't play games with silence or distance. People who meet you where you stand and speak with honesty and care. Genuine connection has a way of finding those who are true to themselves. When someone ignores you, it's tempting to believe it's your fault. That if you'd said something different or been someone different, they'd have stayed close, offered more, given more. But the truth is, more often than not, their silence isn't about you at all. This can be a hard truth to accept when you're hurting and your mind is flooded with questions that have no answers. But distance and silence are usually born from struggles within them, fears they haven't faced, insecurities they haven't healed, words they don't yet have the courage to say. Sometimes people pull away because they don't know how to handle their own feelings, not because of anything you did or didn't do. Once you really grasp this, you find a kind of emotional freedom. You stop carrying the burden of other people's unspoken problems. You stop taking their behavior so personally. Instead, you can step back and see their silence for what it truly is, a reflection of where they are in their journey, not a judgment of where you stand in yours. Maybe they're confused, maybe they're afraid, maybe they're not capable of facing the truth, even if it's right in front of them. And that's theirs to carry, not yours. In moments like these, your power is in stepping back, turning inward, instead of chasing after answers you'll never get. Ask yourself, why does this affect me so deeply? What part of me feels unworthy when someone else turns away? What can I do to build myself up from the inside so that no silence can shake my spirit? These questions aren't easy, but they are powerful. They open doors to self-awareness, to growth, to an unshakable kind of confidence that stays with you long after this moment has passed. Being ignored can feel like a loss, but what if it's actually a gift? What if it's a chance to loosen your grip on needing approval, to find peace in your own presence, to remind yourself that you are not waiting for anyone's permission to feel enough? This is where real confidence is born, in that quiet knowing that your worth is not up for debate, not up for negotiation, not something that can be given or taken away by someone else's behavior. When you reach this place within yourself, you find that the actions of others lose their power to shake you. The silence that once hurt now becomes a mirror that reflects your own strength back to you. You stand taller, you breathe easier, you remember that you are whole. And when you live from this truth, you naturally attract people who value honesty over avoidance, presence over distance, depth over shallow games. So next time you feel the sting of someone's silence, pause. Remind yourself that their silence is not your mirror, it's theirs. Let them carry their own unresolved struggles while you rise above the noise. Use this moment to strengthen your own foundation. You are not defined by who drifts in and out of your life. You are defined by the resilience you build, the self-love you cultivate, and the grace you show yourself in the hardest moments. That is the kind of strength that no one can take from you. and the kind of strength that will carry you forward, whole and unshaken. Sometimes when someone ignores you, it's not just an act of neglect. It's life's quiet way of giving you exactly what you need: space. Space to pause, to breathe, to look around and see where you really are and where you're really going. It's an unexpected invitation to realign with your own path, to step back from the noise of someone else's presence and listen to your own voice again. So often we lose ourselves in connections that slowly chip away at who we are.